Human geography plays a vital role in understanding and responding to the dynamic nature of our changing world. In this presentation, we will address three main aims stemming from the reading Dr. Ewan Woodley assigned, Doing Flood Risk Science Differently, an Experiment in Radical Scientific Method. This focused on collaboration between local participants and researchers to tackle flood management, which we explore alongside our own experiences within human geography. Firstly, we explore the nexus between environmental nature of physical geographies and its engagement with social sciences, highlighting the importance of obtaining a holistic approach within geography. This was discussed in our interview with Dr. Woodley, who is both a human and physical geographer. Secondly, we use climate change as an example to indicate the benefits of applying an interdisciplinary approach in order to aid responses to ongoing issues. We focus on the role of technology and social media in fueling awareness and facilitating responses towards climate change. Finally, focusing on the paper, we explore the need to re-evaluate the methods we use in order to tackle issues within the changing world on a localised scale where participants were used to inform flood management schemes.
Dr. Ewan Woodley is a senior lecturer at Exeter University. His research focuses on climate change, natural hazards, and how the public understand risks and resilience when it comes to large environmental events. He's involved in a variety of projects and organisations which focus on the effects and causes of global warming, including the Millennium Climate Change Project and the Environmental Value Journal. Using his human geographical skills, he is able to educate and involve communities in creating solutions to reduce the harmful effects of natural disasters and improve their quality of life.
Human geography plays a huge role in understanding the changing world. To address the issues and complexities, it is necessary to consider the interconnected nature between human geography and the natural environment. In the interview we conducted, Dr. Woodley described how he deviated from a solely physical geography path into a nexus of geographies. We experienced this within the module Concepts of Geography, where Dr. Woodley taught a series of lectures centred around critical physical geographies that propose a more radical way of thinking, aiming for a holistic approach for an environmental and social transformation, emphasising the need to understand values, power relations and critical considerations in order to view these issues and subsequently conduct research. In addition to the article we read, the interview with Dr. Woodley emphasised the value of utilising participants in environmental studies for flood risk management, emphasising how a nexus of geographies plays a key role in the changing world. He stated that physical geography alone cannot address the whole picture. From here, we have explored literature that emphasises the growing importance of a nexus geographies approach and the concept of more than human geographies, which works to integrate both physical and human geographical ideas and subdisciplines such as animal geographies. Although, as Colvin and Thompson in 2019 highlight, the unique interdisciplinary potential of geography remains largely underutilised. However, interdisciplinary approaches have been utilised to address issues and impacts surrounding modes of climate variability. For example, addressing El Niño's southern oscillation events, which have been exacerbated by climate change. Since climate science alone has been unable to provide meaning to the knowledge it produces, as discussed by Holm in 2008 and 2011, a greater need for human-focused disciplines in climate research is recognised. Therefore, as issues become increasingly complex and intertwined in our changing world, it has become clear that interdisciplinary approaches across borders of disciplines are essential to adopt.
Next, we are going to discuss the climate crisis as a prominent source of change in our changing world and how human geographers have been creating solutions and educating general populations. Climate change has gained a lot of attention on social media platforms, fueling concern around these issues. Raising awareness puts pressure on governing bodies to solve them. Social media is an effective way for members of the public to express their opinions. Young people are sharing opinions on these issues and warranting change. The use and consumption of media is greatly generational, with younger generations often more aware of how many natural and humanitarian disasters are occurring in the world. We, as young people, feel more closely connected to issues surrounding climate change because it is going to affect our futures. Many of us experience eco-anxiety as we are more aware of climate change. Dr. Woodley mentioned in our interview that the growing eco-anxiety fuels education on climate change issues. Thus, digital geographies have made us more aware of the impact of media and how it has created a generational gap. Social media can be used to educate young people on not only a global but also local scale. The use of imaginative discourse and a sense of place may spark people's interests more than politics. Education through human geography emphasises this. Greta Thunberg is a prime example of the younger generation's eco-anxiety. Her large social media presence of over 14 million followers gives her a global reach. Her protests and campaigns have inspired other young people to act. For example, #FridaysForFuture is a youth-led social media movement. Thunberg has received support from many activists, scientists and public figures, including Alok Sharma, the president of the COP26 summit. However, Vladimir Putin described her as kind but poorly informed teenager, undermining her, emphasizing the generational gap as young people are playing a larger role in climate activism, specifically on social media.
Woodley's review of Cheap and Clean highlights the importance of human geography contributions to research in a changing world. Energy production is central to debates surrounding climate change as we are faced with increasing environmental risks. Woodley suggests that public opinion has immense power and influence on energy policy and development. Recognising that consumers are increasingly adverse to power generation that incurs health risks provides crucial insight into the successful implementation of management. Woodley highlights that policies to tackle anthropogenic climate change should shift from local to global scales. He suggests that understanding public opinion is arguably more important than the value of economic and technical research on the future of energy generation in the US. This clearly demonstrates the fundamental role of human geography in developing policies to tackle climate change by engaging communities and taking an integrative approach, bridging the gap between natural and social sciences.
Lived experiences can aid solutions to many issues that are either caused or accelerated by climate change. One example is a reading given to us by Dr. Woodley. This reading explores both recent and historic flooding events in Pickering, which is experiencing worsening impacts. The community was engaged here in order to assist government action to protect areas close to the local river, and public relations with the governing forces were shown to have improved, as there was a rebuilding of trust. During the interview, we asked if this participatory method would work on a larger scale. In response, Dr. Woodley discussed wider issues of complexity and dependence on the community members that could arise, emphasising the importance of taking these issues into consideration before scaling up this bottom-up approach. This demonstrates that in a changing world, employing interdisciplinary methods is important due to the interlinking nature of these issues. They are by no means separate issues that should be tackled in a singular manner. In the aforementioned Cheap and Clean study, Texans were given control over methods by which 10,000 megawatts of energy were to be produced by the Public Utility Commission over a 2-year period. All of the participants chose wind power, despite the state being heavily involved in extracting the immense reserves of oil and gas. Whilst this may be linked to the more diversified economy, less dependent on oil and more competitive electoral politics, mentioned by Goldberg and others in the Kaczynski paper, promotes public engagement, encouraging a shift towards renewables through investment in wind power, showing that people's concerns have influenced state legislation. This links to climate change, which is of course a huge concern to many, and utilises a bottom-up approach. In a further example of marine protected areas in the UK, we found that members of the maritime community were being involved in the decisions made. However, it is becoming a top-down approach, meaning that it is being driven by legal obligations by the governing powers, rather than the opinions of people directly affected. During our interview, we discussed with Dr. Woodley that bottom-up approaches, in his opinion, were absolutely necessary in a changing world in which both public opinion and the climate are altering from the norm.
As a member of the Geography Department, our interview with Dr. Ewan Woodley enhanced our understanding of how lecturers are using their knowledge and expertise to explore the role human geography can have in responding to a changing world. Their knowledge of societies and their interaction with the environment facilitates geographers' creations of solutions to natural events which benefits communities and best fit the community's needs. For example, by looking at digital geographies, it's clear that social media has become one of the key news platforms for the younger generation. Social media has provided a platform for issues to be raised and messages to be spread, allowing scientists to inform the youth about global warming. Therefore, it is clear that human geography plays a vital role in helping us understand how to adapt and keep up with the changing world.